They have gates because there are factories, there are yards behind these defences which are working entities. They are part of the economy of eastern London. These gates are a problem in the sense that the responsibility for closing the gates in a flood surge situation rests with the individual landowner, and you can bet your bottom dollar that one of them won't be closed in a serious flood surge situation.
Right, now, you see this gate here?
Yeah.
It only needs one or two to be opened during a storm surge. And
Right, but a little gate like that isn't going to flood London, is it?
have you any idea what a storm surge can do? You can't afford to have even the slightest chink in your armour. We're talking massive amounts of water here. We've got a big storm coming, and the highest tides we've had for years.
The final ingredient to create the perfect flood is the position of the moon. The Earth is in line between the sun and the moon. In this position, the moon has the strongest possible gravitational pull on the Earth's oceans, creating what is known as a spring tide. In this alignment, the high tide can be almost doubled.
Hello?
Hi. Thought you want me to wake you.
Okay then, it's 3:32 in the morning.
Sorry, I've been up all night. The storm's intensified, so I ran the computer model again. It's a big surge, Kirsty, and it's heading straight down the coast. It did say to call you.
Well, when's it going to hit London?
6 o'clock tonight. High tide.
Okay, I'm coming in. Call Mike.
While London sleeps, conditions at sea are rapidly deteriorating, and Britain is facing its biggest threat for over 50 years. The danger is not the storm, but the surge, and as it heads south, the unique geography of the North Sea kicks in. What makes the North Sea so dangerous and London so vulnerable is its shape. It narrows and shallows. This is a deadly combination. Any storm surge that comes south gets squeezed into the enclosed area between the British Isles and continental Europe.
When you squeeze water like that, it has two effects. One, it accelerates, it speeds up, and also it rises up, it humps up.
The surge is now over 3 meters high along the coast and is only 7 hours from London.
From Scotland, and the northeast coast is getting hammered by this unprecedented storm, with huge sea waves battering the coastal towns and still moving further south.
The prediction we're getting for Canvey is bigger than anything we've seen before.
No, look, Kirsty, I'm not saying this is a normal storm, but the way things are looking, it's within what Canvey Island's defences can handle.
Just about, if it doesn't get any worse. And if it's bad for Canvey, it could be really bad for us.
Well, we'll just have to monitor the situation, but at the moment, it's forecast to be substantial but manageable. In any case, you need to get on with the barrier closure after low tide.
Many vital decisions have to be made on the basis of computer models, which predict how high the water levels will reach. But these models don't always get it right, so a big surge could be underestimated.
Well, no model is perfect because it relies on information that was gathered in the past and is being used to predict the future. And if the conditions are changing very rapidly and changing in a way that has not been forecast, then there will be trouble.
Barrier closure team, this is Control. Please stand by for closure after midday.
Received.
Kevin, can you inform the port authorities we're closing after low tide?
Mike, London News and reception for you.
The barrier is built to withstand a 1 in 1,000 year storm, so if your only question is how likely is it London floods, I'm afraid it's going to be a very short interview.
And what if this is the 1 in 1,000 year storm?
This is plainly a serious storm. Now, what does it mean for London?
It is serious, but we are fully prepared for this kind of event. Now, we've decided that a closure is going to be necessary in response to the storm, but people should not be overly concerned. The forecasted water levels are within what the barrier was built to withstand.
And how accurate is your forecast? We all know the weather is notoriously difficult to predict.
Well, over the years, the model has proved itself to be robust. Any other questions?
What about, say, Canvey? Will that be safe from a surge?
Okay, our information to date suggests that there is a possibility of some minor flooding, but nothing major. All right? Thank you.
Sorry, just one more question. London isn't just relying on the barrier. Now, what about the defences, the embankments? Will they be up to it?
London is quite safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Every step of the way, the storm's route down the coast is plotted on computers.
Look at that. And it's only 6 hours till high tide in London.
The surge is absolutely vast. It's a huge amount of water, hundreds of miles, and when it starts to overtop defences, it just keeps overtopping them.
Okay, Mike. Last gate's raising now.
Okay, thanks, John. Got it. Okay, everybody, thank you. The last gate is now closed.
With the gates now up, there is nothing more that London can do to protect itself from whatever is coming.
The most alarming situation would be a sudden deterioration in weather conditions, a sudden marked increase in wind speeds. We're talking about the most severe category of storm here. The entire surface of the ocean is covered in thickly driving spray and foam. All the wave tops are literally torn apart by the force of the wind as they fall.
Look, total height of the water coming down the east coast is over 4 meters in places.
Barrier, yeah. Got it. Okay, thanks, Jimmy. The storm's getting worse, Mike. And the surge is going to hit London dangerously close to high tide.
This is the nightmare scenario. The storm surge in the North Sea is unprecedented, and it's set to hit at high tide. This timing drastically increases the chance of flooding. Because the more closely the storm surge coincides with the spring tide at its highest point, then the bigger and more destructive the surge will be. The surge is now only 5 hours from London, and it's getting bigger by the hour.
Now suddenly it's accelerating, starting to move faster, and it's deepening. The isobars are packing even tighter together, the barometer is dropping, and the storm, instead of dying out as they normally do, is starting to pick up strength.
London's flood defences are likely to be severely tested by the combination of high tide